Good evening, parents. My name is Mr. Vandevort, and I am your son or daughter's IB biology teacher. And you can see I have a little bit of a social media presence down there for the IB program, plus a website, and that's my email where you can always get a hold of me. A little bit about me. My wife teaches at Hughes. I have two children, one at Wilson and one at Rogers. I'm from Washington State. I love pro cycling, riding my bike, and we have a lot of pets at our house. I think 5 or 6 cats. Could be wrong on that one. And a dog named Jack right there. This white and brown Newfoundland. Here are the main topics that we learn about in IB biology. Pretty standard. Now the first year we go through the ones you see on the list, although the human physiology normally I don't get to until the second year, where we do a whole bunch of things on physiology, human physiology, and then review some topics that we learned that first year: nucleic acids, metabolism, and plant biology. I love plants. I wish I could teach a whole class on just plants. Maybe one day. And then we spend a lot of time getting ready for our exams, which typically are paper tests, multiple choice, short answer questions, but always for IB classes there is an internal assessment, or an IA, which is an in-class assignment that goes towards your students' overall grade. And it's great because it's actual work they do in class with limited teacher guidance, and it really is a great way to learn how well a student understands the topic, whatever it may be. In my class, it is a lab report. They design a lab and then perform it and write about it. Speaking of labs, here's a lab we just did on basically how chemical systems maintain balance just like our own body maintains balance. And this demonstrates a concept called Le Chatelier's principle, and it involves a lot of colors. And let me play you this first video. It's a slow-mo video on the reactions. So let me talk you through it. This is milk of magnesia and water, and I am adding vinegar, which is an acid. So it's basic solution, which is purple. I'm adding acid, and look for the color change. Wait for it. There, we're starting to see a little bit of like pink, orange, purple, like a light pink, orange, and then the whole thing kind of goes to this kind of reddish orange if that last drop of vinegar hits. Normally this happens just in the blink of an eye. Maybe 2 blinks, and it's tough to see. So yeah, I try to use the slow-mo photography sometimes to really show what's happening in the reactions. And let me also, I did a time-lapse video too that shows you what happens there, the part that we just saw, but then it shifts back. It goes from that pink to that green to the yellow to the white to this beautiful blue color, eventually going back to that purple. So it's just showing the chemical itself is trying to maintain that balance, which is what you try to do in your life, between work and play, and your body's doing that, keeping that perfect, even 98.6 or around about there. And we have a lot of sensors we hook up to our Chromebooks, and this is basically showing over time after the addition of the vinegar at minute 1, minute 10, 15, and 20. You can see that dive in pH where the acidic vinegar brings the pH down. But then the milk of magnesia dissolves itself, eats itself up to neutralize that vinegar and brings that pH back to its even level. Where it wants to be, its resting state. It's just a cool experiment. Get to do a lot of different colors. The IB core, which your student will need to know a lot about, and it's nothing to be scared of. These are things we ask for on top of the normal classes. Theory of knowledge, basically how we know what we know. Students are always taught these concepts and they're like, how do we know all these things, right? Well, this is where we kind of pull back the curtain and say, this is how we know. And it's just a really interesting class that not many students get to take part in until college. Then there is the creativity activity service component, otherwise known as CAS. And that's the extracurricular part. They do things to explore their creativity. They do something that has to do with physical fitness. It can be anything that gets their heart rate up, where they're really becoming aware of fitness and the importance. And hopefully, as they do, go for walks, do practices, whatever it may be, it helps them maintain, their stress, or keep their stress levels down, and just creates that balance in life. And extended essay, and this is a really important thing, and this is what makes a lot of students nervous. And it is a difficult research paper, but the key is they get to choose something they are interested in, they're passionate about. And if you're working hard at something you're passionate about, it's not really work so much. I mean, it's difficult, don't get me wrong, but they get to really dive into a topic that they're interested in. So please encourage your student to really dive into that extended essay. This is my grading policy. I use the secondary grade, the Long Beach secondary scale grading system. It's a little bit different, allows me to grade more truthfully, but is more reflective of how their IB exams are scored and how they're going to be scored in college. So don't worry. It's not that they're being graded easier, they're actually being graded harder, because I can actually give more difficult assignments without failing the whole class. We're here to learn, so people will make mistakes, students make mistakes, and that's an important part of the learning process. If we have a grading system where if you make a mistake, you don't get an A, that's not a good thing. So we can make it more rigorous, more difficult with this secondary grading system. And late work is always accepted, usually with a little bit of a penalty, depending on the circumstances. And the best way to raise your grade, if that's your situation now, is to turn in any zeros that you have. And I accept all late work. They should all be open. If for some reason they're not open, not accessible to your student on Canvas, make sure you let me know as soon as possible. I've had some students ask, what's the last day to turn in late work? And I turned around and I said, you should be asking yourself, what is the first day to turn in late work? And that is tomorrow or today. So get it in as soon as possible. Don't try to go up to the deadline. We all know that. Let's try to reinforce that message to your child, please. Send me a message on Canvas. That is the best way to get a hold of me, right through the mail system on Canvas. It's just messages from my students, so I look at that before I look at my school email. And if you ever have any questions, please let me know. My conference period is period 1 and 7, and that's my email address, avandevort@lbschools.net, and my phone number. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I hope you have a wonderful evening. Contact me anytime if you have a question about IB biology or about IB in general. Good night.